Mount Everest, the highest point on our planet. Over 8,800 meters of rock and ice, scraping the edge of the sky. It's the ultimate symbol of geological power. Now, imagine a chunk of rock and mud 300 times larger than Everest, breaking loose all at once. This isn't a hypothetical. It really happened, but nobody saw it. Because this landslide, the largest humanity has ever known, happened in total darkness, thousands of feet beneath the waves. And the monster it unleashed would change the map of Europe forever. Our story takes place just over 8,000 years ago, off the coast of modern-day Norway. The last great ice age had just ended. The colossal ice sheets that had covered northern Europe for millennia were in their final retreat. The world was warming, the oceans were rising, and for the Stone Age hunter-gatherers living along the coast, it was a time of plenty. A huge, low-lying landmass, a prehistoric Atlantis now known as Doggerland, connected Great Britain to the rest of Europe. It was a rich landscape of hills, rivers, and forests. But beneath the waves, a time bomb was ticking. For thousands of years, the retreating glaciers had dumped unimaginable amounts of sediment onto the edge of Norway's continental shelf. We're talking about a pile of mud, sand, and rock, hundreds of meters thick, stretching for hundreds of kilometers. An entire mountain range, made of unstable sludge, perched precariously on a slope. And the end of the ice age had lit the fuse. The trigger was likely an earthquake, a common occurrence as the land, freed from the crushing weight of the ice, began to rebound upwards. But this wasn't just any earthquake. This one struck the weak spot. In a single catastrophic moment, a section of the seabed the size of Iceland broke free. This was the Storegga Slide. It's almost impossible to comprehend the scale. We're talking about 3,500 cubic kilometers of debris. If you were to spread that material out, it would bury the entire state of California under 2.5 feet of mud. This wasn't a slow creep. The slide instantly accelerated down the continental slope, reaching speeds of over 80 kilometers per hour, as fast as a freight train. It was a moving cliff of mud and rock, plowing through the deep ocean with the force of millions of nuclear bombs, and it continued for a staggering 800 kilometers, all the way to the abyssal plain. It was, and still is, the largest single displacement of matter on the planet in the last 10,000 years. And all of that energy, all of that displaced water, had to go somewhere. An underwater landslide this massive doesn't just create a wave, it creates a mega-tsunami. A wall of black water erupted from the Norwegian Sea, racing outwards in all directions. This wave was not a surfer's paradise. It was a churning, debris-filled monster. When it slammed into the Shetland Islands, it was over 20 meters high, the height of a 6-story building. It crashed into the Scottish coastline with terrifying force, surging miles inland, with a height of over 6 meters, or 20 feet. It swept away entire forests, scoured the land down to bedrock, and left a permanent scar on the landscape that scientists can still study today. But for the people living on the low-lying plains of Doggerland, it was an apocalypse. They would have had no warning. First, the sea would have strangely retreated, exposing the ocean floor. Then, on the horizon, a dark line would have appeared, growing impossibly fast. The wave that hit Doggerland would have been an unstoppable wall of water, likely 5 to 10 meters high, that didn't just flood the coast, it swallowed the entire country. Entire tribes, cultures, and generations were likely erased in a single afternoon. The final drowning of Doggerland, already being slowly submerged by rising seas, was brutally accelerated. The last land bridge to Britain was severed, and the map of Europe was redrawn by a single, colossal wave. How do we even know this happened? For decades, geologists in Scotland were puzzled by a strange, thin layer of sand and marine fossils found in the peat bogs, miles from the current coastline. It made no sense. It was the geological signature of a massive tsunami, but the source was a mystery until undersea mapping finally revealed the gargantuan scar of the Storegga Slide on the ocean floor. The story of the Storegga Slide is a powerful, humbling reminder. It tells us that the greatest forces on our planet operate on scales we can barely imagine, in places we can't even see. We worry about earthquakes and volcanoes we can monitor on land, but our planet's continental shelves are riddled with areas of instability. The end of the last ice age created the specific conditions for Storegga, but our current warming climate is putting new and unknown pressures on these delicate systems. The deep ocean is not a static, quiet place. It is a world of silent giants. The Storegga event proves that, without any warning, one of them can awaken and reshape our world in an instant, reminding us that the ground beneath us and beneath the waves is never as solid as it seems.